changed. No, we're on a different YouTube channel. We're not doing stuff with Geeks and Gamers anymore. It was just an amicable split, nothing bad, no hard feelings. We haven't done this in forever. So I was talking with Mike and it was kind of like, hey, we really miss doing stuff. I don't know if we're ever going to do Arrowverse again because there is a metric buttload of stuff going on right now, and me and him are both very busy. But we still do go to the movies quite a bit, so we're going to keep doing movie reviews. And I'm not going to lie, both of us are really kind of nervous that our first one is this. So we are going to be talking over and reviewing Todd Phillip's new movie, The Joker. People that don't know, Todd Phillips previously did Hangover Trilogy. And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't he do Starsky and Hutch?
That was...
Or am I wrong?
No, you might be right. I'll double check.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I'm really happy to be doing these again. So typically, for anyone that has not seen these before, we're not...
That was him, by the way.
That was him?
Yep.
Whew, haven't seen that movie in a while. But that's gonna come into topic later. Those movies we mentioned comparative to this. We're basically just gonna talk over our general feelings on it. We'll do pros, then cons, and then we kind of sometimes give it a score. Sometimes we don't. I don't know. We're just going to kind of wing it. We haven't done this in a while, so we're just going to get going. And yeah, all right. So, Mike, you just came fresh off of seeing it 10 minutes ago?
Yeah, this was my second viewing because I wanted to give it a second viewing because the first time I liked it for the most part, but I felt like its biggest issue was as great of a performance that Joaquin Phoenix gave, and as great of an idea this concept was. I did feel that the direction kind of held things back a little bit.
Okay. I saw in your review you compared it to needing a scalpel at points instead of a chainsaw.
No, the opposite.
Though the opposite. Sorry. I got it.
Okay. Whereas Scorsese, if he handles similar material, like Joker is very much inspired by Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. Mm-hmm. But while those were handled with a little bit more, finesse, like a scalpel, Todd Phillips is not that subtle.
Yeah. That's putting it mildly.
But when I saw it the second time, I found that more as a feature as opposed to a bug. And that's because of how great Phoenix's performance was. Now I want to ask you, what are some of your standout moments from the film?
This is a movie where I did not laugh a lot, and that was the point. But the moments where I laughed came out of freaking nowhere.
Right?
They were very much... It's weird to put stand-up moments, but it's each moment in this movie had a purpose for being in it, except for one, and we'll get to it because I thought it could have not been there. But the moment when at the very end of the movie, and this is heavy spoilers for anyone who thinks that we're not going to talk about spoilers.
We're going head first,
and we're getting in there. The moment when gosh dang it, what was his name? Randall and Gary go to Fleck's apartment, and he kills him, and he's like, Gary, you can leave. And Gary has to ask Arthur to come unlock the door so he can leave. That is terrifying. It's so simple. It's so simple.
The second time I saw this movie, that scene got the biggest laugh, but it's also kind of the most disturbing too.
That guy who, I don't know who the actor's name is, but the guy who plays Gary was so good at portraying. He's literally terrified for his life and doesn't know what to say, that he doesn't want to piss Arthur off. I told you this the first time I saw this. I felt like I needed to take a shower. I was done with this movie. There and like it's the moment when again, like the two only jokes that are really in this movie, to me anyway, other than that, there's like real standout moments that were meant to make you really laugh, were when he's in the pediatric ward and the gun slips out of his clown costume. I didn't see that coming for miles away. I couldn't have seen that coming. And me and my buddy Morgan were just like, what? Our entire theater exploded. And then after Detective Garrity and Burke, it took me a bit to connect it, but is Light Turner's dad from the Netflix adaptation of Death Note.
Yep.
It was bugging the piss out of me. I couldn't figure it out. When he's questioning him about his laugh, like, is that actually a medical condition? Whatever. And he's like, some clown thing? Are you kidding me? And then he walks, boom! First straight to the exit door. It's exit only, man. And he's like waving his hand to get the door open. I was like, they were so choosy with the few moments where you're like, all right, this movie is really down, really sad. We're going to give you that. But the one standout moment in the entire movie that is probably the most is how just that ending part where Murray is like finally like turned on him and he's like, you want to hear one last joke? He's like, no, we're not done with it. And he goes on that freaking tirade about how when a mentally ill loner does this, and this, and you get what you deserve. And he just blows them away without a moment's hesitation. They'll just, I'm like, I figured that was going to happen. And I don't know if they did this on purpose. They very well could have did it on purpose. I don't know if Todd Phillips ever said he was referencing anything. But the entire time in my head, I'm just like, I am seeing Dark Knight Returns right now. When he's sitting on the talk show when he comes out of retirement.
Now, Todd Phillips has said before that this movie isn't based on like one particular comic.
Yeah.
And he's right. Both times I saw this, I said to myself, I don't know specifically what this is referring to, but he's drawing a lot of like bits and pieces from all different stories.
Definitely.
Like his failed stand-up career, that's The Killing Joke. Yep. The talk show is partially a reference to the King of Comedy.
Oh yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah. But also the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
And I think the thing about the talk show scene, that's when I had that was the scene with the most tension. But it's the monologue that kind of gets the monologue is where I have my most mixed feelings. Because on the one hand, I said before,
yep,
there's no subtlety in the dialogue, but at the same time, that works to its advantage because it's kind of meant to throw you off until he pulls out the gun and fires it at Murray.
Yeah, like didn't even give him a chance. He's just gone. And like that was another thing that I liked about this too. They didn't just have him go hog wild and kill like 60 people.
No, it was a very slow transformation from just a guy who's had a bad day. Again, another reference to Killing Joke.
Exactly.
To a madman who basically created Gotham City.
Pretty much. And like the riots were a good touch. It's I'm not going to have a whole lot negative to say about this movie. Just saying. There's one scene I thought was really weird, but it makes sense considering he does more of this later on. So we'll get to that when we talk to negatives. but they only had in enough in this movie that was needed. They openly went out of their way to only reference as enough Batman things as they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Like just, and there was a lot of rug pull, quote unquote, moments. Like Zazie, she's just not there.
Mm-hmm.
That moment when she sits down and like, at first I was like, are they gonna make her like Harley or?
I thought that too. When I saw like the first like trailers, I'm like, what is like, exactly her role?
Yeah, because then when he stalked her, and the moment that made me think the most, because I'm like, okay, he's stalking her, he's weird. I'm like, the stalking thing, I was kind of like, okay, obviously Arthur has mental issues. He's seen a counselor, he's got other things, he's got you learn later on that obviously had a very messed up childhood. But then they had the stalking, and I was like, man, that is just kind of in there to make him seem weird. But then they had the whole, like, he had his moment when he came back from the subway, and then they just start swapping spit clean out and like getting in the door. And I'm like, all right, either she appreciated how ballsy he was, or she's really weird too. That was what would make me come on the whole. Maybe she's his version of what Harley would be. And then and then like she shows up at stand up and stuff like that. Her freak out when he's just like in her apartment and she's not supposed to be there. That I was just like, that was one of the moments where it had the little bit of subtlety was there because they don't show you. The door is just unlocked. So you figure maybe he was supposed to get in there. And then she's just like, what are you doing in here? You're in the wrong apartment.
I do have to ask, why would she leave the door unlocked?
I don't know. That's what I thought afterwards. My buddy Morgan, after watching it the second time, was like, she lives in a really sketchy part of the neighborhood that like the elevator barely works. And like, why are you leaving your door unlocked? Also, after that scene when he walks out, an ambulance goes through. And like it's really hard to hear because I can't remember, there was some sort of audio squabble where it was like either him laughing a lot or there was something on TV, but it sounded like someone was screaming. Did he kill Zazie?
I couldn't. They don't really make it clear because
no, they don't.
They leave the audio kind of muted, almost on purpose, like that.
Yeah. And it was just like, yeah, you're the one scream, and then like the ambulance going by, which again, it's Gotham. There's riots. It's Gotham on a good day has got about 17 people getting shot, so it's whatever. This was. I'm just trying to go on to bullet points we can talk about because we're not going to say a lot negative. This was one of the best movies I've seen in a while. This movie was the most Thomas Wayne is a douchebag I've ever seen. Give or take, Arthur gives him a lot of excuses to be a douchebag. Mm-hmm. And like the run up to, again, the rug pull where he was, part of me was really hoping he was actually Thomas's kid.
I thought that the first time I saw this, I thought they were genuinely going in that direction, and that's kind of why I was worried. But then once he said, "No, you're adopted," I had the biggest sigh of relief. I'm like, "Oh, okay, they're not pushing canon that too far." In that direction. They know what they're doing.
But then part of me was still like, okay, nothing in this movie has been honest so far with Arthur at all. So I'm like, you're not going to tell the mentally deranged man in the bathroom that could just shoot you that like, yeah, you're my son. Let's come back to the house. Let's have a cookout. You could just be lying to him to get him out of your way. So then when he gets back to I take that back. There's two scenes I have problems with this, and it just reminded me of the second one. How, like, he's gonna have that, whatever, and like getting up to him being portrayed, like he's being portrayed as a douchebag up to that point, But then you have the you were adopted, your mom's nuts, like legit nuts. And they pull back that Arthur misunderstood the situation. And then Arthur tries to explain himself. And the most Arthur way tries to explain himself, like, why is everybody so mean? I just want to hug anybody. Something, give me any sort of positive reinforcement. He doesn't get any. I'm trying my hardest to think of a moment that was not created in his head where he had someone be nice to him in this movie.
Like literally everyone except for Zazie Beetz in that imagination, like in his head.
Exactly. Yep.
Like literally everyone is a douche, including the mom on the subway.
Exactly. And it's like Hoyt is kind of nice to him, but he fully admits he thinks he's weird and nobody likes him, and like doesn't believe him when the sign gets stolen. Like, dude, why would he lie about that? Like, come on, man. And then I'm like, okay, bosses are douchebags. That was another thing I had to think in this entire movie. And like, you shouldn't judge a movie right away, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, which one of these seems like this is not a thing that would happen in real life? Really didn't hit a moment where I'm like, you know what? I could see a douchebag in real life doing that. Especially back then. It was a totally different way, and like I could still see it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever. Spoiler going into my life, kind of. When I was younger, had severe anger issues, severe, badly, and it got me put into a different brand of like classes where I had help when I was younger. And then when I got into like middle school, going into high school, I was back in regular classes because I went through counseling and stuff like that. But I was in a separated study hall with other kids that were considered special education, but actually like needed help. I just needed, because of my anger issues and stuff like that, and I had like ADHD, I had trouble like remembering things. I got put in classes with them. And then through high school, they just asked me if I wanted a different study hall. I'm like, no, most of the key people in my class are douchebags, and these people are actually nice. They just actually want to get help. And I wanted to go be a teaching assistant when I went to college, got the degree to do it. Sadly, doesn't pay that well. That's why I don't do it right now. So that's why I wanted to stay in there, wanted to help them, because I actually generally care for people with like causes like this. And then I'm watching this movie and I'm like, I can't say people wouldn't do this because I saw this all throughout high school. Just people are like this all the time. But okay. We're just kind of rambling at this point because again, we're normally have our structure and it's not going to hit it. What are some other big sticking points you want to get to before I bring up the one article before we hit to negatives? Is there any real big topics that went on that you want to talk about?
We haven't really gotten into the technical stuff, like the score, like the brilliant score,
yes,
and the cinematography. I think those two kind of enrich the experience.
Yes, and this use of sound deprivation, like when Arthur is just gone, like when Hoyt's screaming at him in the start, and Arthur's just trying to live his day, so he's zoning everybody out and just starts laughing, and you hear like Hoyt starting to echo outward. Little touches, just so much.
Yeah, I noticed that the second time the sound design really stood out, and the soundtrack. You know, if you're gonna ape Scorsese, you kind of have to crush it in that area.
Oh yeah.
It is a little bit silly though that Joker's first entrance is a Gary Glitter song.
Wasn't expecting that. Not at all. I'm like, this is not a sports movie. Why is this on here? What are we doing?
But to be fair, it's the Joker. You can never predict him.
That is true. It's like you saw it chapter 2. It was like the moment when, gosh dang it, can't think of the kid's name. When they go in the basement, I only saw it chapter 2 one more time. I need to see it again. And it kind of was very late at night and I was tired. When they go down into the basement and his mom is tied up and it is coming at him as disguised as the I can't think of what it is.
I think I know what you're talking about. Is this the scene where they play Angel in the Morning?
Yes, when he's puking on him, and that starts playing. I'm like, what is this? What are you doing? And I was just like, my brain went, Brr, and I'm like, it's Pennywise. It's weird. It makes sense. That's what eventually happened. Like when he starts dancing down the steps and stuff, I'm like, okay, it fits. It works.
I think that's why I enjoyed my second viewing a lot better, because it's the Joker. He doesn't make sense. So I was able to forgive a lot more of the unsubtleties and the craziness, such as moments like the Gary Glitter stairs scene.
It's so good. It's so good.
And the more I think about it, I really do think that the talk show, like there are my three favorite scenes of the film were the bathroom scene with Thomas Wayne,
yep,
the talk show host, and also the ending. The riot is when I noticed like how great the cinematography was, how he shot Gotham in flames with all the clowns.
Speaking of that riot, I have to ask this question before I forget. I've never been more excited to see a pair of parents get shot. I didn't know if they were going to have that in the movie, but they did. And I got really excited. It shouldn't have screamed about it in my theater, but I'm like, Thomas and Martha Wayne are going to get ganked. And I'm really happy.
Okay, you know what? Let's have fun with this, because I asked this question both times I saw this. Well, I have a couple questions. One, is Arthur Fleck the real Joker, or is he like patient zero and we haven't met the true Joker? Like, do you think this is part of the three Joker theory?
Okay, so I have not been introduced to that, but already that makes me kind of queasy. I'm not a big dude for fan theories. A lot of them are just like, we don't have any real proof, but wouldn't it be cool if? And then 38 people are like, there's 2 minutes in that movie. It makes sense. But we could go off on that another day. But now there's two ways to go about this. A lot of times I like Joker to be the same age as Bruce. But then obviously Bruce is what, 9 max?
8?
And Arthur is mid-40s?
About,
like, they said the whole thing 30 years ago. I'm like, Arthur's not 30. I knew that was horse crap. But there's two ways to go about it. Like I said, I like having to be the same age, but there is the Batman 89 situation, which I almost thought we were going to get, where the Joker actually kills Thomas and Martha, and he is that much older, which I thought about it after I saw this. Did not make a lick of sense in the original 89 movie, because Keaton and Nicholson look to be identical in age, and Nicholson in that movie should be a good 30 years older than Keaton.
Right.
But I'm okay for either. Bruce is barely going to remember. He's probably going to remember the weird dude adjusting his lips in the front gate of his house. But I'm good for either. It's likely more of a patient zero thing because, and again, Joker can be whatever it wants to be.
Exactly.
But it's like, to me, it's not gotten to the point of where, like, in another great scene, when he's leaving the interview room at the end, and it takes a good 5 steps, and then you start seeing a blood trail. Like, he starts running from orderlies, so he's not quite the fully unhinged psychopath that's not scared of anybody and will just gank a person off relief. He still had a little bit of the I'm kind of terrified, I don't have everything figured out quite yet point. So it still could be that dude that goes on, but there's like 60, however many people are in Gotham, like a third of the population was out in the streets rioting, so it easily could be anybody. So I'm good with either option. Which one are you more leaning towards?
I kind of think it's he's patient zero. But I don't think the guy who shot the Waynes is our Joker. I think that's a random nobody that the cops will later refer to as Joe Chill.
Exactly. I was kind of shocked we didn't get Joe Chill's name mentioned at all. And that was making me think we might not see them die at the end, but yeah. Going back to the score again, we'll kind of, okay, we're just going to brush past the scenes I didn't like because it's just going to, whatever. There's two scenes that I disliked. Dislike is about as much as I can give it. One was, I get the, like, Arthur very much expresses himself through like weird movements and like interpretive dance, and like they did that throughout the movie. The first one felt really out of place to me. The one in like the random truck stop bathroom.
Oh, yeah, that one. The first time I saw it, I'm like, what's going on here? But I think once that became like a sort of a recurring quirk of his, I accept it a little bit more.
Exactly. And we'll get back to that with the score. But the other thing I want to talk about with negatives, and it mentioned back, I remembered it when we were talking about his mom. How does nobody just tackle him when he has those records that he stole?
Yeah, how did he get out of there? Like,
and then he goes down a flight and a half of steps. No one does anything. That was the moment where I was like, no. He walked past like 6 orderlies. Someone would have hit him.
To be fair, that is Arkham, so...
True. You catch how they didn't call it an asylum. It's a state penitentiary.
Arkham State Hospital.
It's not state hospital, sorry, a state hospital. Would not call it an asylum, but they had to have him riding down an elevator with a dude that basically looked like Victor Zsasz without all the marks.
I was going to say, like, is that who they were referencing?
I don't know, but it reminded me of the scene where Batman is riding down with Joker in Arkham Asylum, the video game, except Joker's standing there and somebody else is there. But anyway, going back to what you said again about the score. There's so many moments where you have like the sensory deprivation where nothing's going on and you're just letting music play. And again, with the drowning out, I remembered another one when they fake out that he's doing well in his stand-up and they just start playing laughter in the back of Arthur's head. Bombed horribly. And they just like, it just adds such little subtle touch. You were better talking about score, so I will let you go more whole hog on that.
No, I basically echo your thoughts. It added a level of like haunting, beautiful, like beauty to all of the insane things that happen in his life. Like the score combined with the sound design and that scene in particular, when everything kind of drowns out and all you hear is the music. That was nice. That was a nice touch.
All right. I suppose we'll just end up talking more about stuff we like and in details that like passed on. Did you have any real giant negatives other than, like you said, it needed subtlety at certain subtlety at points?
Not really. Like, I didn't have any major negatives. It's just kind of the overall. I wish there was more. I know it's weird to say. I wish there was more subtlety in a movie about the Joker.
Yeah,
I realized that after I wrote my initial review. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute.
It's true. Yeah.
No, but that's why I think seeing it a second time helped, because it like seeing it a second time kind of made me appreciate the things they did right more than the things they did wrong. And also I found the unsubtleties more, they sort of enhanced enhance the experience because the Joker is an unsubtle character in almost every way.
Yes. What was I gonna say there? Something else I was gonna bring up. Oh yeah, I mentioned this to you too. Tell me, and considering you just saw Taxi Driver, tell me the last time you saw Robert De Niro care about his role as much as he did in this movie.
It has been a hot minute. But like, I think the only other example I can think of is Silver Linings Playbook, but even that was like 2012.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I got Robert De Niro. I loved him back, like even with Meet the Fockers. I even liked him in that. Like I know that movie's horrible. I even liked him in that. But I was just like, and then he's playing a talk show host. I'm like, I didn't know what they were doing. At first, I was like, God, if he's Commissioner Gordon, I'm not watching this movie. But
now talk about miscasts.
yes, but one thing that was really nice that I liked about him is I take that back. There was one person that was genuinely nice to him, and it was Murray when he was not on camera.
Yeah.
That was a very subtle touch. When he got to the back room, his manager was like Mark Maron, I think is the guy who played him, but I can't remember. Like Hugh?
Wait,
what was his name?
I think it was like Hugh. Hold on.
Okay, let's check that up. But like Mark Maron was being an absolute dickbag, which he's a showbiz type. They get like that. They just want to have stuff on point. They don't want to make a russ, whatever. But like Murray was like not acting as himself. Like he had his glasses on, he had like regular clothes, his hair was not as done up as much, and he was actually like talking to the guy like he was a regular person. He wasn't being mean, he wasn't being outlandish, and it kind of got to me where I was like, he's a TV personality. He's acting up when he's on screen. That makes total sense. And then as soon as you got on screen, he came back to, he's like, yeah, this Joker, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you get to see Murray go from he's being a dick to match like what his character is to he gave up on Arthur because Arthur's well past saving at that point, and Arthur didn't care anymore. That was a real good subtle slip, and he didn't overreact when he was doing it. It's done really well.
Yeah, that just adds to why that scene is kind of perfect, because everyone gave like the exact right in performance. Like the tension was built perfectly. Like Phoenix was like totally in control of that scene.
Yep.
And just when you think the monologue was going too long, he was getting too long-winded. Boom.
Yep. And like the gentle cut right when he's like, and remember that's beep! And then they just cut back to all the monitors replaying it. This movie had some of the best pacing I've ever seen. It felt like I was watching a 30-minute movie each time I watched it, but there was so much packed into it. And it never lingered on anything longer than it needed to.
I thought at first that that was going to be the ending of the film.
I did too. I thought I was going to cut right to credits when the film slipped. Yeah. But no, and then one thing also that I really appreciated, we had Joker for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that, but I appreciated it.
I like how we got the right amount. If he was revealed too soon, like it would have gotten too out of control. But they gave us just enough to let the audience know this is the Joker.
Exactly. And like one thing I wish they would have done is just and it would have been asking a lot. I wish they would have, like, you know how in a lot of old movies where they'll have the credits slip to one side and then they normally have like the gag reel play off to one side. I wish you could have somehow got like Arthur's life after that movie, like just acts that happen. Because I left that movie wanting to see more of that.
Oh, like stills that kind of reference some
like
of
newspaper clippings. Yeah.
That would have been nice to see stuff like the laughing fish, or what are some of his other like famous crimes?
The Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh dang it. There's a scene where yeah, I think he's killed two of Commissioner Gordon's wives, but he's just done a lot. And I'm not gonna have to pick off any, but there's just a bunch of things, and they could create their own, like beating. No, how the heck would they? They couldn't show him beating down Jason Todd because it wouldn't make sense. They would just have to come up with as much as they could with not involving, and it's hard because I'm trying to think of stuff that doesn't directly involve showing a Batman like in costume character in a photo.
Right.
So
that's why I said like
yeah.
Joker. That's why I said like Joker fish, because that's easier to pull off.
Yeah, and like you could just like I said with the Killing Joke, you just show that he crippled some random redhead, and you could even say Barbara Gordon, like that would be okay. That wouldn't be too over the top. Like that'd be like this. They mentioned Thomas, Martha, and Bruce. Were there any that I'm missing?
No. Those are the only ones they mentioned.
Yeah, everybody else, to my knowledge, unless I'm missing something, and I totally could. Batman's been around for about 6 times longer than I've been alive, so can't really say anything. But they had so little to do with this movie as Gotham as they needed. They barely even mentioned Gotham as a city. They just said the city. So if they would have mentioned like Commissioner Gordon or Barbara and stuff like that, it wouldn't have been overdoing it. It would have been fine to me. I have one subject other than that article, because we actually blazed through this a lot faster than I thought we were going to. Is there anything else you really want to talk big on this?
I want to talk about future movies in this DC Black Label. Like what else do you want to see moving forward?
It doesn't even have to be this Black Label or like just with DC. I want to see this period with just comic book things at all. Like the problem being is they tried so hard to make this be realistic. Like this dude could become this person without needing comic book horse crap.
Like a vat of acid.
Exactly. And that was one thing where I'm like, they explored everything except for Robin somewhere to do whatever. But I don't know. And like the thing, as far as this Black Label goes, there was always a big thing that back in the old days of Collider movie talk, even back further when it was AMC, when it was John Campy was the big thing on it. One thing he always talked about was how he didn't know if you could do a movie that was just about villains. Well, we can't. So, a Sinister Six movie that's actually like really bad, or like an actual honest to God like Deathstroke movie. Mm-hmm. But those would just be rated R comic book movies. Like I'm trying to think of something, a character that could get a dissection like this to where it has nothing to do with a connected thing. It's just popped into like the Marvel DC version of like Marvel Knights, where it's just dark, real, don't bring your kids. This is an adult thing that adults should see. Who that is not a Batman villain, because that's a lot of street level stuff, like other people, like Lex Luthor. Could you?
I have been thinking a lot about like a mockumentary called President Luthor.
That could work. That could work. I didn't think about the mockumentary part of it, but if you actually show his douchebaggery stuff behind oh yeah, I kind of want to see that. Oh, that would be really good. I don't know who, a director who'd be in that, but okay, so Luther, DC's got almost every villain they have is just ridiculous. Um, you could, now that I'm thinking about this, you could go through showing Slade getting his injection when he was a soldier, getting his eye blown out by his wife. There's something there. I don't exactly know how you do it. It would be like an old, like a, I was about to say Apocalypse Now, like war movie version of Deadpool.
Hmm.
I don't know if we could pull it off, but like you would just need to be like he becomes super famous and like he wouldn't I don't know how he would look a lot like when he actually got like if you're gonna have the big moment where he suits up to be whatever, he would look a lot like Manu Bennett's version of like Deathstroke did. Or no, actually, without the mask, he'd probably look a lot like the Titans version of Deathstroke, to be perfectly honest. But that one could work. Deadshot.
Mm-hmm.
What
are we just talking about villains?
Just one that I just mentioned. Now that you said that, an actual like from getting there to leaving movie of Oliver Queen on the island.
Yeah,
like freaking Castaway.
Castaway, but with
Oliver
arrows.
Queen. Yeah, exactly. That could work really well.
I have a lot more ideas for like Superman characters, like, and not even a movie, but like a procedural called The Daily Planet.
Okay.
Where, and it's not just a Lois Lane vehicle. It's like think of like Aaron Sorkin's Newsroom, but set in the DC universe.
Kind of like what Schnepp always wanted with Daredevil.
Yeah.
Where it was half procedural and then half him kicking the crap out of people in some street corner. Kind of. Okay. Well, obviously with Lois Lane it would be, but like, yeah, man, there's so many opportunities for stuff like that, but they need to give it a chance. And that's really hard. Because they can work. And shows like that, do you know what the budget of Joker was?
I believe it was like 70 million.
I was gonna say that shocks me. That honest to God shocks me that it cost that much. Because what was big? They reused a crap load of sets and it made its money back and then some.
There might have been like some visual effects. I want to say like a lot of that blood was a touch of CGI.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, and you make these for dirt cheap. Pick the characters that don't cost a lot, like that procedural would not cost a lot. You make your returns as long as you don't give up on it right away, or just don't randomly supposedly not file something in your taxations that why you canceled Swamp Thing.
I know. Every day I just get more sad and disappointed.
Anyway, that's a tangent for a different day. But yeah, you had other ideas you were saying. I'm sorry.
The other one I had was, and ironically, this has something to do with Martin Scorsese. So a friend and I were talking about like what's a superhero that he could sink his teeth into, and I was thinking the Question.
I still want to see Kevin Smith's version of the Question.
Me too, but
that could work. Would you have him be Vic Sage or Renee Montoya?
I'm thinking Vic Sage.
Okay.
I had two different ideas. One would be like a younger Vic Sage, so you get an actor with like who's like tall, lanky, has a long chin.
Oh.
To embody the character.
Oh, yeah.
And the other one was an older Vic Sage, sort of like an Unforgiven, but for like a neo noir. Cast like Ray Liotta as Vic.
You might laugh at me, but before you go on, you know who I want to play the question, but it'll never happen? The guy who plays Ralph Tibney on The Flash.
I was thinking about him too.
He'd be so good. But go on.
Okay, so it's Ray Liotta as Vic Sage, and this is like towards the end of his career. He's at the end of his rope, and this would be the movie where he passes on the mantle to Renee Montoya.
Ooh, okay, I like that.
But those are my ideas for future DC movies if they want to continue with this this sort of black label.
And they should.
Because unlike the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and as much as I love DC's crossovers, I think on the film side of things, they should be allowed to take more chances. And if Joker does well, like at the box office, you're gonna see a lot more.
Yeah, and you know what happened for DC as soon as they stopped trying to combine movies? Everybody liked their movies a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got Wonder Woman, you got Shazam, you got Aquaman, you got Joker. And I can't think of a single one where everyone was like, this is hot garbage. No, everyone's like, wow, these are surprisingly really good. But yeah. Closing thoughts. Don't take your kids to see this. This is a comic book movie. I'm going to say the same thing that I said about why I like the Dark Knight movies. They are Christopher Nolan movies that happen to have Batman characters in them. This is a movie that happens to have the Joker in it. To me, it's not a comic book movie because it's not very comic booky.
It's based on comic book characters, but other than that, it's a legitimately dark, sometimes humorous, but in a black comedy way.
Yeah, and you're gonna see things that are gonna make you feel uncomfortable. So be prepared. Be prepared, as Scar once told you, and just let the whole thing go before you have thoughts on it, because I didn't know what that movie was until I was done with it. I legit had no idea what was going on. I didn't know where it was going to end. I had no clue. I had a vague idea, but just let the car take you where it's going and enjoy it, because there's not a whole lot of pit stops.
So. Yeah, for this movie, you need to A, know what you're getting yourself into, and B, you need to keep an open mind. And this is the reason why I wanted to go twice, because this isn't a movie that you can. This is a movie that you need to sit and process.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a movie that I'm glad exists, and I hope to see. I hope to see more that are more that branch out from the conventional formula.
Yes, I would agree. Out of 10, what would you say? Because we're getting up on 10 minutes. We'll spend the last 10 minutes talking about that article. What would you give it out of 10? I give it, honestly, a 9, because I cannot give it a 10, because those two scenes bugged me so much. But how about you?
In my initial review on Letterboxd, I gave it an 8 out of 10. But since seeing it a second time, I think I'm up there, either either 8.5 or 9. I think the more I think about it, the more I like about it. I still wish we had maybe there are some other filmmakers that I wish had a shot at this material, but I think the more I let it sit with me, the more I appreciate what Todd Phillips brought to the table.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking, Mr. Phillips, we have a little article that we want to talk about just a tad. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. This right here, Todd had some thoughts on all of this. And the main thing, it's not in this article, but he talked about how woke culture ruined comedies for him and how he didn't want to make comedies anymore, so he did this. But a big thing that he talked about was that people before Joker even came out were ostracizing it because of violence and whatever, and how it was really dark and whatever. And then on the other hand, John Wick 3 that just came out, he over exaggerated, not by much. But he's like, John Wick kills 300 people and they cheer it. Now, I'm one of those people that I was like, dude got his dog murdered. You go gun happy. Is that a sane thought? No. But you're buying into two totally different situations that are trying to tell two totally different things. And I got a point where people are like, John Wick, dude is a movie and it's meant to be this. For me, why people had a right to be upset, I wasn't, is you're in Joker trying to explain how a person in real life could become a psychotic serial killer. There are definitely different subject matters. Is there death in both? Yes, but you're not cheering for the guy going, yeah, you get mentally abused, boy, murder him. Like, there was definitely points where I'm like, I won't say that Murray didn't have that one coming just a little bit, but it's just like, it's different stuff.
Context is important. The difference between John Wick and Joker is that one is a more stylized action film, and again, killing his dog, that is cinematic language for, okay, you get a pass, now kill everyone.
Exactly.
Whereas the Joker, it's pretty deliberately taking place in a real world, which makes the minimal violence, because this movie it doesn't have as many violent scenes. It's just each scene is like has a layer of grossness to it.
Now he's wearing like half a dude's brain on his face when he's talking to a guy about how nice he used to be to him and how he's going to be on a talk show.
Yeah.
God. Like you said, context is everything. I think if it would have been like a more accurate representation would have been, which Rambo is it where he's sitting on top of the hill with the machine gun?
Is that Rambo 3?
It's 3 or 4. And he's literally just mowing through enemy forces.
That was Rambo.
That was Rambo?
Yeah.
He's just mowing through people like Swiss cheese, and everyone's cheering for it. That to me would have been a little bit closer, but still, it's a totally different subject. You can't compare trying to make people realize how this could happen in a real life function and then people being scared about it because you're trying to make people realize this can be real. Nobody is trying to make you think that John Wick is trying to kill a like 6'9" dude in a library with a book.
Yeah.
and I hate when they start doing comparisons like that, because then it's gonna just feeds more fuel to a fire for the worst part of it, instead of just being like, this was directed really well into showing how we shouldn't treat people the way this got treated, like this, so that stuff doesn't get brought out. Todd Phillips didn't go, I want to think of a way where I can have a psychopath kill a guy on a talk show, and people thought it was really cool. He didn't set out to do that. John Wick set out to think of as many creative ways that a guy could murder people. And then you think he's not psycho, I guess?
Yeah, I'm just really disappointed with the discourse surrounding this movie, and how everyone who hasn't seen the movie has kind of already made up their mind about it.
Yeah. And then people are like, another thing that's not helping is the added confusion of like, where does it sit? What does it have to do with everything else? People are just like, what's the point of it? And then you add all of this garbage into it, and it doesn't help the situation any. But you got anything else to say on that? I guess we kind of like hammered that to the wall pretty quickly, but
I think I'm good leaving it at that.
Okay. 1 second. Last minute intro before we get out of here. Cyborg Man just commented and said, yo, I like this movie. I really do. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for commenting. We're going to do more of these more often. We're literally just getting done doing this right now. But he wasn't the best Joker. It was Arthur wearing clown makeup. Okay. Would you agree with that?
Can you repeat that?
His first comment was like, yo, I like this movie. I really do. But he wasn't the Joker. He was Arthur wearing clown makeup.
This feeds into my theory that Arthur is patient zero, but we haven't actually met the real Joker.
Okay. I'm okay with that. It's where the guy took, yo, remember that thing when all those people went nuts? And then I can be okay with that. It works. Like I said, either way. Because again, if Joker's still around and kicking, he would be, according to this movie's logic, and I'm guessing what they think Joaquin Phoenix's age in here is 65.
Yeah.
By the time Bruce Wayne is just starting to get what he's doing. So yeah, that's it. But so oh man, you guys do not understand. You're not going to understand how much more I like this program that we're using. It's StreamYard. So it's a lot better than what we're using for Google Hangouts. 1 second. So far, he hasn't done anything Joker yet. He's only killed the people that wronged him. There wasn't any schemes or plans like the Joker. Cyborg Man, I won't quite get into that because we talked about that earlier in the review. So exactly what you're mentioning just now, we talked about it earlier. This is going to be edited and put up on the channel that we're going to mention in a little bit. So other than that, as a drama, you'll love it. I would agree too. But I'm going to leave what we're saying to talk about, and you can watch the rest of the review when we're done. So we're going to be getting off. I'm going to try and keep these to an hour. Really going to try and keep these to an hour. And got really good on this one. So we're not sure how much are going to happen. I would like to do 1 or 2 a month at least. I will do as many as you are available for, but the base goal, 1 or 2 a month, would be cool, depending on obviously movies coming out worth reviewing.
I think that's good. At least 1 or 2 a month.
Yeah, for sure. This, for all the people watching it live, is going to be edited. It's not going to take much editing now that I've dinked around with this more and figured out what I can do without needing to do stuff in post. But it's going to be re-uploaded. Woo! I can talk today. On my channel, OrganoidZero. It was mostly Ruby content before. Still going to be there. We're actually going to be doing episode reviews and stuff like that. But I'm going to be doing stuff like this with Mike because we used to do this all the time and I really, really, really miss doing it. And
Same.
yeah, it might have some Twitch stuff on here. But as we go off, as we used to do, Mike, other than your Twitter handle, what do you have going on and where can people reach you?
Well, for right now, I'm just writing letterbox reviews on letterbox.com/ at Coach K42. You can find me on Facebook in all the various movie groups. And just stay tuned for the next movie review on this channel.
We have no clue what it's going to be, perfectly honest with you. Depending on, I'm going to be gone when Zombieland 2 gets out, but I will be seeing it. So if sometime during the week after that, if you're okay during the week to do it, we might be able to do that.
We'll talk.
We'll talk. Don't quote us on it, but maybe. Me, if you're watching this when it's uploaded, you find me where you're watching it. But if you're watching this live, like Cyborg Man was earlier, really appreciate you, buddy, for coming in, even though it was literally in the end bit of it. I am at WayneTech7 on Twitter, which the handle's below for both of us. And here on OrganoidZero, there'll be Ruby content. There'll be other random stuff we'll just do reviews on. I don't know if we'll just stick to movies. We'll review whatever we want to do. I won't stick it perfectly to that. And then Ruby content, and I'll be doing weekly reviews of episodes with a buddy of mine that I write Ruby fanfiction with over on Silent Celica on fanfiction.com and AO3. The website's down currently when you're reading this because they're redoing stuff. But other than that, good Lord, it felt good to do this again.
I miss this a lot.
I do too. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Toodaloo!